Hello, my name is Rachel Ward, and this is my graduate research project for Amberton University's Managing the Global Workforce with Dr. Diane Sanchez. Project objectives. The purpose of this project is to design an effective performance mobility program for can-do canines based in New Hope, Minnesota in the United States, to enable the company to send a dog trainer to Chennai, India. The following topics will be covered during this presentation. Introduction, which includes the hypothesis, methodology, and limitations. An overview of Can-Do Canines Corporation. The cultural differences between the U.S. and India. The Global Mobility Program that supports and trains expatriates. The recommendations and implications for the 21st century workforce, and references. Hypothesis statement. A citizen of the United States working in India will need preparation to deal with cultural differences such as political, legal, religious, cultural, and language differences they will encounter in the host country. Methodology. Qualitative analysis based on literary reviews from several peer-reviewed sources. Limitations. I myself have never worked in India, so I relied on information gathered from peer-reviewed literature reviews as well as online sources to conduct my research and make conclusions. Other limitations are that several of the studies used for this project used only a small sample size and convenient sampling for their research. An overview of Can-Do Canines. Founded in 1989, Can-Do Canines is a charitable nonprofit organization. Their mission statement is, Can-Do Canines is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for people with disabilities by creating mutually beneficial partnerships with specially trained dogs. Employee categories at the company include leadership, development, marketing, operations, dog trainers, kennel workers, and administrative staff. The dogs at Can-Do Canines provide many services. There are mobility assist dogs, seizure assist dogs, autism assist dogs, diabetes assist dogs, and hearing assist dogs. There are two different ways that the dog training program works at Can-Do Canines. Shelter dogs are assessed for training. The dog trainers will go to shelters and determine which dogs' temperament and intelligence level may be successful in the dog training program. There's also a dog breeding program where certain breeds of puppies are bred and trained as puppies by the trainers. So why would India be a good place for Can-Do Canines to build a training program? One reason is there's an estimated 30 to 35 million stray dogs living in India. And though not every stray dog can be turned into a service animal, when dogs are trained, they're more eligible for adoption if they don't work out as a service animal. There is definitely a need in Chennai, India. India does not have many services for the disabled population that include service animals. Even though many people prefer a particular breed and to breed service animals from puppies, stray dogs are less prone than purebred puppies to inbreeding, which causes cancer and other medical problems in dogs. So there is some resilience in stray dogs that may actually be a benefit for those that are able to be trained as service animals. For a dog training manager to move to India and start a dog training program, there will be certain objectives that they will need to meet. One objective will be to work with the local Blue Cross of India which is a nonprofit organization that houses and cares for shelter animals. It's important to make this connection so that they can work with the nonprofit so that they can find viable animals that they can train as a service animal. The dogs that don't pass the initial assessment would be a good option for adoption. They would make wonderful pets because they will have some training. So they should also work with the local Blue Cross to help those puppies that don't make it into the training program to get adopted. Another important thing for the dog training manager is to network with the medical community in Chennai to connect with those in need of service animals and connect that community with the puppies that are trained. The dog trainer will need to be prepared for some of the challenges they may face when they implement this training program. It won't be the same as if they were implementing a program in the United States. India is not set up for disability services like the United States. Most shops, malls, and recreational areas are not set up for people with disabilities or their service dogs. It may be a challenge to train an animal when there are not accommodations for them or the humans they are assisting. The dog trainer will need to train dogs according to the new environment, not the way things are set up in the United States. This will be a challenge that the dog trainer should find out about ahead of time and plan for to make the transition smoother. The Global Mobility Program, moving a dog trainer from can-do canines in the United States to India. There are many differences and cultural considerations between the United States and India. According to Hofstede's scale, the power distance in the United States is 40, which shows a low tolerance for social inequality and differences between levels and organizations. Individualism is very high. Masculinity is also quite high, which makes the United States achievement-focused and competitive. Uncertainty avoidance is in the mid-range, which shows a tolerance for ambiguity and an openness to new ideas. Long-term orientation is low, which shows that the United States is focused on short-term and quick results. Indulgence is high, which shows an appreciation for free expression and satisfying desires. The differences between the United States and India are most shown in the power distance, which shows high tolerance for social inequality and differences between levels and organizations. Also, in the indulgence, India scores very low in comparison to the United States, which shows a culture of restraint. Other cultural considerations that the dog trainer moving from can-do canines needs to consider is the language. Hindi is the national language. Though English is used for business and political communication, the expatriate would benefit from knowing a little bit of the Hindi language. Religion is also another major influence in the daily lives of the Indian people. Hinduism is the main religion, and Buddhism and Muslim are also prevalent religions in India. Dietary restrictions for Hindus and Muslims include not eating beef and pork. The caste system in India has been outlawed. However, it still influences business and politics throughout the country. Public displays of affection are not welcomed or accepted in India. During business meetings, punctuality is preferred but not always followed. Impromptu meetings, late hours, and flexibility is expected for business meetings. Business is never conducted on religious holidays, which can be frequent. Negotiations may be slow and flexibility is expected, which may be quite a stark difference from the quick action that the United States likes. Business is considered personal and hospitality is expected. As a rule, a person from the United States working in India should avoid shaking hands. In unwesternized regions, it is considered improper. They should instead use the greeting of Namaste and press the palms together under their chin and gently nod and bow. For an expatriate wanting to work in India, there are immigration requirements they need to meet. First, they will need to obtain an employment visa to work in India. The employment visa for India are processed within a minimum of 3 business days, but the expatriate should apply several months before to ensure their paperwork is done on time for the assignment. Family members must apply for an entry visa to join the expatriate during their assignment. There are many required documents for obtaining an employment visa. A passport that's valid for at least 1 year, 2 passport-sized photos, a copy of the first page of the passport, a copy of the company's registration certificate, a visa application form, a tax liability detail form, a resume, copies of diplomas, an extra copy of the visa application form, and finally, biometrics, which includes facial and fingerprint biometrics that need to be taken before the expatriate is eligible for the visa. Other considerations for the expatriate include taxation. A U.S. citizen working in India must still file a U.S. tax return, regardless of taxes paid in the host country. Tax on foreigners in India is determined by the level of residency. The only way to qualify as a non-resident is to work 182 days or less. Tax is also determined by income level. There is a double taxation avoidance agreement between India and the U.S. that was established in 1989. It assures that an employee will not be double taxed for tax in the U.S. and India. There are some differences between employment practices in India compared to the U.S. India is not required by law to administer employee contracts. However, it is a customary practice to have terms and conditions agreed upon and signed by both parties before beginning employment. Employees are entitled to a minimum of 1 month notice of termination if they've been employed with a company for 1 year. If they don't follow that, a company is expected to pay compensatory wages. In contrast, the United States is an employment at will country. Employer and employee may end the employment relationship at any time for any non-discriminatory reason. Employees are not entitled to notice of termination unless a contract was signed. Employee contracts are rare in the U.S., and without one, there are no laws that require notice from either party, with the exception of layoffs. Preparing expatriates for foreign assignments. Pre-departure training is an important step in preparing the expatriate for their assignment. Training that includes intercultural behavior and communication skills has been shown to better prepare expatriates for their experience in the host country. Research-based expatriate preparedness testing must include trainee accountability, ample time spent in training, and a high level of trust built between trainer and trainee. Ideally, training should begin 6 to 18 months pre-departure. Intercultural readiness can take many hours of self-reflection, training and effort on the part of the expatriate to fully prepare for life in the host country. Training should be customized per assignment. The, the more distant the culture and interaction with the host nationals at a higher level of communication toughness, the more robust the training should be. Considerations in training: language familiarization, local customs, climate, cultural assimilation training, housing and schools, living conditions, cultural orientation, geography, sensitivity training that helps the expatriate develop an attitude of flexibility, and field experience. All of these are important things to consider training of an employee that's going to move overseas. Key components of international compensation package: organizational considerations. One consideration is the base salary. It should be determined if a salary is linked to the home country or if an international rate will be paid. A company should also consider a foreign services inducement or hardship premium. This is usually paid at 5 to 40% of base salary, and it's dependent on the hardship, tax laws, and assignment length. Allowances that are given for housing, relocation, education for children, and spousal assistance also, according to research, have been shown to support the expatriate in their assignment. Benefits need to be comparable to those they would have in the States. It needs to be determined if a company can enroll an expatriate in host country benefits and make up the difference in the coverage. Supporting expatriates during their foreign assignment. Perceived organizational support is a key factor in the success of expatriates. This includes support from the parent company as well as the host country. MNCs that focus on expatriates' career goals and aspirations have employees that adjust better to their host country environment. Social exchange was found to be key in an employee's perception of organizational support, and those that felt supported in career goals were shown to have stronger commitment and higher performance levels during international assignments for MNCs. Another factor that supports expatriates during their assignment is to have international mentorship. Studies show that a mentor will help the expatriate cope and adjust to new rules of the host country. Mentors also play an important role in introducing expatriates to new positions and help facilitate their adjustment to the new culture. Mentors can also help the expatriate with sense making as they help them navigate their way through the new environment and interpret culture differences and communicate with locals. There are two types of mentorships that can be utilized for expatriates. A mentor could be from their home country, one that has experience in the host country, or a colleague from the host country itself. Perceived organizational support is also important in repatriation. Support from company stakeholders, such as the Human Resources Department and line managers, is important during the repatriation transition. These stakeholders should communicate any company and policy changes to the expatriate to prepare them for their return. An expatriate's family should also be considered as a stakeholder. They are essential in successful repatriation. The family should be supported during the transition as well. Career planning and consideration and discussion regarding the current job opportunities should be discussed before the expatriate returns. They need to be assured that they'll have a chance to further develop their career when returning home. Recommendations. India would be a great location to bring the service dog industry into. There's a need for service support dogs for people with disabilities, and there's also a need to help abandoned animals that are suffering on the streets. There are many multinational corporations that have found success with adding subsidiaries in India, and U.S. organizations are welcome in the country. There are differences in religion, employment law, and language that the expatriate will need to adjust to. But if the company puts a support system in place for the expatriate and families, they will most likely succeed. If this move proves successful, the company could expand to other regions with stray dog issues and may be able to make a difference for the animals and the people who will benefit from the service the animals provide. That is the conclusion of my graduate research project, and here are the references I used.